Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness sees Benedict Cumberbatch reprise his role as Stephen Strange as he teams up with his trusted friend Wong and newly found hero America Chavez as they travel the multiverse in order to stop the darkness that hunts them down. Can they stop the darkness, and is Wanda strong enough to help them? So with this sequel, I remember Kevin Feige mentioning that there would be horror elements in here, and when Sam Raimi was brought on to direct, I knew instantly that there was no one better to do this. I think most younger fans will know Raimi for his Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, but I think the majority of his fans will know him for his work on horror films. The two just go hand in hand, and Sam Raimi definitely brings horror to the MCU. His style is definitely all over this movie. From beginning to end, this film does feel like a non-stop ride going from one spectacle to the next. At times it can feel like too much and slightly bloated, but it doesn't take away from the overall enjoyment factor of the movie. Elizabeth Olsen is without a doubt the standout of this film, and she brings her emotions and pain from previous movies and WandaVision to this one, which makes her performance in the Multiverse of Madness even better and more believable. Do you need to watch WandaVision before watching this movie? Absolutely. The idea that the MCU shows stand on their own and won't interfere too much with the audience knowledge for the movies doesn't really work here, as you'll have a big gap in information if you haven't seen it. This movie feels like Wanda's journey as well as a midpoint for Strange, much like how other Avengers felt more complete after their trilogy of movies like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. It feels like Doctor Strange still has more room to grow as a character. So I mentioned before that this film has some horror elements in there, and there were a couple of jump scares that got me. Don't get me wrong, it's not a scary movie. However, if you have younger kids who love the MCU, this might be one I would probably approach with caution. There were a few times where I was surprised and thought, wow, they really went there. It could definitely scare kids. I don't want to say too much, but you get the impression that Raimi and Feige sat down and Raimi asked how much freedom he would be allowed to have and just pushed it as far as he could. Not only were there jump scares, but there were parts that left me speechless. There are also a few cameos in this sequel as Strange and America travel through the multiverse. Nothing that really affects the plot much, but it's cool to have in there. You'll be so invested with the main story that becomes the main focus, and that's what draws you into this movie rather than seeing other characters. It's not like in No Way Home where the cameos actually became a part of the plot. Multiverse of Madness does feel slightly dated in some areas. I felt that the humour was a bit on the cheesy side and more akin to the humour that you'd be familiar with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. It didn't always work, but thankfully there's not too much of it, and the movie usually pulls you right back with some more horror. It's a visually impressive movie, much like the first Doctor Strange, but this one does push for the weird and wonderful, and there's a fight scene done to some very clever use of music. This feels like a Doctor Strange movie through and through, and like I said in my Moon Knight review, it really feels like Marvel Studios are just pushing the ideas of what can be done with these properties now. All in all, for me, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was an enjoyable ride. Did I like it more than the first movie? Probably not. It felt very loaded with a lot going on, and unfortunately, as likeable as America Chavez was in this, and she bounced off of Strange well, she was almost buried under the weight of everything else that was happening. So maybe not the best introduction of a new hero, but I look forward to seeing where her character goes in the future. There are 2 post-credit scenes, one of which is interesting, the other isn't anything you need to get your hopes up for, so if you left before the last one, you wouldn't be missing anything. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is out now, and I would definitely recommend going to see it. Have you seen it though? What did you think about it? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button if you're new here. Don't forget to subscribe for more, and I'll catch you next time.